I started uploading February of 2019, and then by June, I had my 1,000 subscribers and 4,000 watch hours. I don't know if I would recommend this, but we kind of cheated the system. He found out about Sean's book, YouTube Secrets. The biggest takeaway I had from that book, I needed to.
Today on the Founders 40 Show, we're joined by Courtney Donkey, or Swavy Curly Courtney, as she's known by her YouTube audience. Courtney has built a powerful community by helping individuals embrace their natural color. But she didn't grow up wanting to be a creator. In fact, she used to hate being on camera. But once she understood the curly girl method and realized her hair wasn't bad, just misunderstood, she started actually documenting her journey on Instagram. She picked up her phone, filmed in her bathroom, and just started. Fast forward now, she's made over 500 long-form videos and have helped thousands of people feel confident in their natural hair. So in this episode, we talk about what it's like to start YouTube later in life, how to grow a channel from scratch, and why starting with something you're obsessed with is the best way to stand out. Now let's get into the conversation with Courtney Donkey. So Courtney, the place I want to start, as I've mentioned, there's a lot of individuals that are on Reddit and they mention they feel like they're too old to start a YouTube channel for whatever the reasons is. There's people that are 40, 50, even I've seen a person that was 28 mention this, which 28 seems young nowadays, depending on how old I am. But I want to get your early days of YouTube. Kind of what was that like for you? How did you get started? Kind of just paint us a picture.
Well, honestly, I had that exact same thought when I started uploading consistently on my YouTube channel. I had toyed with the idea for a long time of starting a YouTube channel. I didn't know what about, but I just had thought that it seemed like fun to put videos on the internet and build a community and interact with people. I didn't even think about it from the monetary side of things. I was just thinking it would be fun. And I never did because I thought I was too old. All these YouTubers that I consume their content, I watch their videos. I thought, man, they started 10 years ago. They're already way ahead of the game. They understand how to play. And I didn't understand any of it and thought there's no way I can learn this. I've already missed that boat. But it wasn't until I discovered that I had wavy curly hair and got really interested in learning how to style my waves and curls that I even had the opportunity, the idea to start a YouTube channel around that type of content. A lot of people want to start YouTube channels and they don't know where to start. And if they're asking me, what I like to tell them is that thing that you are so hyper fixated on that you are annoying everyone in your personal life about, that's the thing that you make the YouTube channel about. The thing that you absolutely cannot stop talking about. You've been obsessed with it for 6 months and you need an outlet. You need somewhere to put all of this hyped up excitement you have about a certain thing in a place. Put it on your YouTube channel because it will attract people that are also as interested in that thing as you are. And that's just so much fun. For me, that was curly hair. For the longest time, I thought I was broken. I had bad, frizzy, straight hair that didn't know what it wanted to do. It wasn't until a coworker came into work one day with perfect spiral ringlet curls. And I asked her, so how did you get your hair to look like that? Did you use a curling iron? And she very sweetly laughed at me and said, no, these are my natural curls. I'm doing this thing called the curly girl method. Here's the handbook on it. You should try it out and see what you think. And I was hooked. I went way down deep the internet rabbit hole of figuring out how to style my waves and curls. I read the curly girl handbook. I started buying products that fit the recommendations made in that book. And I started documenting what I was doing over on Instagram. I would take pictures of my hair that day. Please, P.S., don't judge this particular hair day. This is not my best. I tried out and tested out some products. And while they may be lovely products, they're not looking as lovely in my hair as I would like for them to. But that's part of the nature of what I do now. So I started documenting the products that I would use and how much I used and how I applied them to my hair. I would take a picture and post it on the internet. Well, over the course of months, I started getting more and more requests from people asking me how to show them how I did X, Y, or Z. How did I apply the gel to my hair? How did I plop my hair, which is a term in the curly girl world that I feel like needs to be changed. But basically, it's where you dry your hair with a towel in a special way because we're curly girls. Anyway, or how I diffuse my hair. And all of these things were topics that I felt like I couldn't explain in 60 seconds. And in Instagram, 6 years ago, that's all we could do is post a square 60-second video. And that was that. I needed a long form content outlet. And I was already posting all the time over on Instagram. I had been doing Instagram stories, which allowed me to get comfortable talking to a camera because, believe it or not, before I started doing Swavy Curly Courtney content, I hated taking selfies. I hated being on camera, loathed it. But I loved talking about waves and curls so much that I kind of got over that because I was sharing my excitement about a topic with this small group of people who also shared interest in this topic with me on Instagram. Eventually, I moved it over onto YouTube and realized that there was a hole in the market, I guess you could say, in the content on YouTube for this very small niche topic. There were a lot of videos about how to care for African curls, but there weren't any videos about how to care for Caucasian curls, which are very, very different. I don't even pretend to understand the intricacies of a tighter curl pattern than mine, but I have figured out how to style my hair curly, and I know how it transformed my heart when I went from thinking I was broken, I was damaged goods, I just had really bad hair, to learning how to wash and style and care for my hair in a way that it responded well to. It started to bloom when I nourished it. And I realized that, oh, wait, I'm not broken. I'm actually fearfully and wonderfully made on purpose with a purpose. And it was such a transformative thing for me to fall in love with my hair, a thing about myself that I had hated for so long, that I wanted to share that with everybody, which is why after 500 long form content YouTube videos, I am still here talking about this because this is something that I want everyone to get to experience.
So you mentioned a lot there, but you mentioned also the thing that people should start with. You said something, that thing they're always talking about. Is that what you said when they ask you for advice?
The thing that you get really obsessed with, you are hyper fixated on. Your partner is sick of hearing you talk about cars. Maybe your partner has zero interest in cars. Your family, no interest in cars, but you love cars and you can't stop talking about the new model, whatever that's coming out, and why this particular car is slightly different than the other model that came previously. Most humans in your inner circle perhaps don't care about that minutia of detail, but you do. So you make a YouTube video about it. For me, it's that, well, this shampoo has these ingredients, but then they updated the formula, and now the formula of this shampoo performs like this. What normal person on the street is going to be as interested in that subject as me? Well, the people who enjoy watching my YouTube videos are those people, but they aren't in my immediate circle. Yeah, that's interesting too. So when you started, you said you found a gap. There were not a lot of individuals out there talking about your type of hair and curls. So were you saying there were zero, or there like one or two people, or so no competitors you had in the space at all? It was relatively low competitors in the space at the time. I don't want to say there were zero by any means. There were one or two people who were creating content like I was, but honestly, I think at the time that I got really invested and interested, they had taken a step back even. They had. What year is this? I really started uploading consistently in 2019. Okay. So I'm a YouTube ancient at this point. Okay, 2019. And so what was your strategy going into it? Because what I'm finding now with a lot of people when they start, there's so much stuff that you have to focus on in the YouTube universe as I'm learning nowadays. So you mentioned the thing that, because what I'm seeing is a lot of people always tell people, like Sean says, he says, just hit press record. Mm-hmm. Because one of the reasons why is it's all that other psychology that's in their head that's keeping them from even pressing record and just getting going. So did you have any of that internal self-talk that kept you all this time? You said you felt like you were too old as well. Were there some other psychological barriers that you experienced early on? The other psychological barriers that were in the way of me starting YouTube was thinking I didn't know what I was doing when it came to filming, editing, even getting the video uploaded onto the YouTube platform. In the past, those were a lot of things that kept me from trying, but it was the passion for the subject that kind of pushed me past all of that. The phrase, perfect is the enemy of good, really helped me realize that I just needed to slap that spaghetti on the wall and see if it stuck. That even if I was filming on an iPhone 14 with no lighting in a dreary bathroom with bad lighting, it was still going to help somebody with their hair. And that was my why. That's why I was there. That's why I was trying to film videos in the first place, is because I had had so many light bulb moments with my own hair that I just couldn't contain myself. I had to share it.
Okay. So speak to me about those earlier videos. Right. I looked at your YouTube channel and I looked to your oldest video and it said 73,000. And I was like, wow, she had success immediately. Is that accurate? Like I looked at the oldest video, it says 73,000 on your channel.
It did not hit 73,000 views in the first month.
Okay.
It has definitely gained views over time. My sister has become a beloved character on my YouTube channel because she was in the first video I uploaded. Because while I talk a big game about being brave and smashing fear in the face and just hitting record, like Sean says over at Think Media, I was actually still pretty scared. So my sister helped me out and joined me in that first video. So I wasn't alone. She was my model. I got to wash and style her hair on camera. She very graciously allowed me to do that. And her being with me made me brave enough to like say, no, I think I can do this on my own. Those early videos did do well to some extent because I already had a platform on Instagram. But honestly, my platform on Instagram, I think, was 3,000 people at the time. It was a very small Instagram page, but some of my content did transfer from Instagram. So I would announce when I would upload a video on Instagram, and my audience was very sweet and they would go watch it. And then they would take that YouTube video and share it in their favorite curly hair Facebook groups because they liked me and wanted to support me, which is very sweet. But I had already built a relationship with people over on Instagram because I had very intentionally been showing up consistently day after day on that platform and had some loyal internet friends.
That's cool. Let's get back those earlier videos, like say the first 10 videos. What are some, if someone says, I guess they're a beginner and they're starting, what are some mistakes that you made that we should avoid in the first 10 videos that you made?
Honestly, I don't think there are any mistakes that you can make when you first start because you're learning. Give yourself some grace to not be perfect and to learn. I started filming with what I had on the tightest budget possible. I used my phone. I edited on my phone. I used free video editing software, and I just went for it. That's the beauty of starting a YouTube channel. Nobody's watching. You can look terrible and it's going to be okay. Your first video does not have to be a banger. You don't have to get 1 million views on your first video. You don't have to get 1 million views ever to accomplish a purpose on YouTube. If your purpose is to bring in an income, that can very easily be done with a YouTube channel that has a few thousand subscribers and you're getting consistent views on every video.
I'm hearing a lot about that. And, I heard average view per video is more important than number of subscribers. I don't know if you heard that as well, but is that an accurate metric I say we should look at, like the average view for video versus number of subscribers?
I don't know if I'm the best person to ask that question to because I am very familiar with my small niche, but I don't know how content performs outside my niche. I do know that I don't have the highest click per million views CPM ever, but it's higher than normal. Just like standard beauty content, it's a little higher than the average for beauty content, but it's not as high as something like financial advice. The financial advice CPMs are ridiculous.
Right. Okay. So let's talk about your turning point. Like, whereas, yes, how long did it take you to get to your first, get monetization, your first 1,000 subscribers and your 4,000 watch hours?
Let's see. Okay. Well, I don't know if I would recommend this, but we kind of cheated the system a little bit. I have
Okay.
a husband who is incredibly supportive. And when I uploaded a couple of videos, they didn't do terrible. Like I said, I was in a very, very small niche and I got lucky. It was on the rise at the time. Curls were becoming popular and hit their peak of popularity in 2020. So I started uploading in 2019 as somebody teaching women how to care for a looser curl pattern. There were 2 other girls on the internet doing that at the time on YouTube, and they had kind of quit uploading videos. So the first 2 or 3 videos I uploaded did pretty well. I was happy with it. Engagement was good. Likes were good. Comments were very sweet and encouraging. But I saw the climb and how it was exponentially increasing.
Mm-hmm.
I watched one of Sean's videos, I think, and then my husband saw that I was watching one of his videos, and he found out about Sean's book, YouTube Secrets. So he bought it for me. And I read it and I thought, okay, the biggest takeaway I had from that book, there's a lot of good nuggets in it, but it was that I needed to upload consistently. So I picked an upload schedule that matched the passion that I had for the subject and feasible time, because I am working full time from home while also being a mom to 2 very cute little kiddos. So I'm not going to be able to upload the same amount of content as somebody who is single in their early 20s. I have other responsibilities that require my time. But at the time, I actually had the passion, the energy, and the time to upload 3 long form content videos per week. Now, to be fair, I was filming on my phone. I was editing on my phone. The production quality was very, very low. So it was feasible to lock in and start uploading 3 times a week. I had so much information in my brain about different videos that I could make that I was able to do that for 2 years straight consistently. Yes, it was a lot. I did stop doing that at the end of 2020, but that's a later subject. So for me to get monetized, I think I started, it was a bit ridiculous. I started uploading consistently in February of 2019. And then by June, I had my 1,000 subscribers and 4,000 watch hours. Yeah. So it was fast. I hit the 1,000 subscriber mark first, very, very, very quickly. I was doing giveaways over on Instagram for anybody who would subscribe to my YouTube channel. You could be entered. And then my husband would open up 16 tabs on his computer and watch my videos on loop to get the 4,000 watch hours. He would do that for 4 or 5 hours a day, just have my videos running on his computer on, hidden tabs. And we did actually see on the YouTube backend that did help.
Nice little hack there. I'm going to steal that one.
I don't know if that actually worked, but we did it. And I did wind up getting monetized in June. The wild thing to me was as soon as I got monetized, my views and subscribers just exploded. We were increasing like this just fine. I got monetized and then everything.
Why do you think that was?
I think the YouTube algorithm just liked that I was monetized at that point. I don't know for sure. Because then they were able to get revenue from my videos. My watch retention was really good. So people were sticking around to the end of the video. People were coming back over and over and over again to the same video to rewatch, to relearn something. So I think that's why, but I don't know for sure.
What is that? You say your retention is really good. What is your average view duration for your videos?
50%.
50%. So are you, and was that earlier on too?
That was earlier on. My watch retention has definitely gone down over the years. In the year 2025 of our Lord, people have the attention span of a gnat. So watch retention is not like it was in 2019, but it's still pretty good.
Okay. So speaking of that, let's talk that, and this is more of, as people are listening, more of an intermediate when you have 10 to 50 videos up, like editing for retention. Is that something that you do now? Like, do you edit your own videos now? And how do you edit for retention?
How do I edit for retention? You remember that people get really bored very quickly, and you are not necessarily creating the content for you. You are creating the content for somebody who's got 10 other things going on all at once, and you need to keep their attention. What that can mean is you need to change camera angles every so often. It's a little difficult. Camera angles every 2 seconds, which is the recommended. When you're filming something like washing your hair. My hands are covered in shampoo, so I'm not going to be grabbing my camera and changing the angle every 2 seconds while I'm doing that. But you can use tricks like cropping in so that things are zoomed in more, and hold that frame for a few seconds and then crop it back out for a few seconds. Just that shift can help increase retention. Dropping nuggets about what you're going to talk about, but not giving the full detail of the thing until the very end of the video can increase retention. So for example, a lot of the content that I've done that has performed really well are things like 7 reasons you have stringy curls. And you're going to want to stick around to the end because the 7th one is insane. But then you work through the first 6 and save the punchiest one for the last part of the video. I also really love opening with the weirdest, quirky hook. I was doing hooks before hooks were a thing. Before, like, everybody was talking about you need a really good hook at the opening of your video. I always said something really silly or goofy or outlandish right in the first line of the video was something like, what did she just say? Kind of thing. Mainly to get people to laugh and chuckle and get ready to sit down, hang out, and have a good time for a minute.
Okay. So I'm just trying to understand this. So when you edit for retention, you mentioned the list, and I've heard that as well, that shareable creating something, a list is very tangible, and those are easy to share videos. When you're creating, especially for a person that's new, I heard this too, that title, thumbnail, and as you mentioned, the hook for a new person, for a beginner, is where they should focus. Do you agree with that statement?
I don't know. That makes it very digestible. That's not how my brain worked. I am supposed to be your friendly local high school chemistry teacher. I have a background in education and in chemistry. So the way I would structure each video was like I was trying to teach somebody who had never heard the subject matter ever and take them from point A all the way to point Z without them having any holes or gaps in the information or knowledge that I was trying to create. So I think I did it backwards. I always create my thumbnails last. Like, wow. I know everybody says you should make them first. Like, you come up with the video concept idea and the thumbnail, and then you film the video. I planned out my videos and mapped them out in my head first. I would go to YouTube and see if anybody else had created a video on that topic and how they'd structured it and how it had performed. And then I would go film my video and then title it and do the thumbnail. I did it backwards.
So let's go through that again. So your video creation process is you go on YouTube, you're doing research to see if they've already created it first. And then you're doing it in your head as how you're going to create the video. And then once you have the video done, and then what title and thumbnail last. Yeah.
And I use tools like vidIQ. I started using that recently, and I have noticed an immediate and very significant change in my click-through rate when I started using vidIQ to title my videos.
Mhm.
It's really good. It's been hitting the nail on the head for me. I've been getting way better click-through rates. Like I went from having 2.3% click-through rate, which
Mhm.
is pretty sad,
Right, right.
to having 10% click-through rate
Oh, wow.
just by using vidIQ to title my videos. I don't know if that's going to work for everybody, but maybe I was just so creatively depleted at the beginning of this year that I needed the assistance of a tool like that.
I'm curious because I'm using vid. How much of your success, and I think like actually when you started, the market was just so deprived of content in this area that
Mhm.
you feel like, okay, I just so happened to choose like the right niche at the right, and it's just timing and of everything.
Timing was really on my side. I the market was not completely depleted, but there was a need for the content in the sense that people were interested in learning about how to style their hair. And there weren't many people showing them how. I was one of the few on there showing them how. And I really wanted each and every video that I made to feel incredibly warm, welcoming, and I wanted the goal of each video was to make sure that somebody laughed at me at some point in the video. Not in the sense that like I'm going to be some great comedian or whatnot. No, I really wanted them to learn the content. But if you can laugh while you're learning, the information is retained better. So I think that had a big part to do with how I was able to build such a loyal fan base. I really cared about each person and making their day a little bit better.
So what I'm hearing is someone as a beginner, of course, that's why you in the beginning you mentioned the thing that you're obsessed about because it comes across more genuine.
Hmm.
I would think if you create content that you're obsessed about. I've actually created 6 different channels, and this is the first one that I feel a little bit more connected to than others.
Hmm.
So that's why I asked the question. Let's get back to some of the analytics, and I've realized I've used a lot of vidIQ stuff too, as far as being discoverability.
Hmm.
Um, Now, when you look at your analytics and you look at your back end, are you specifically creating videos for like search or are you creating videos for browse? How do you view that? What does that content strategy look like?
Is there a difference between creating videos for browse and videos for search?
Yeah, I've learned that.
Well,
Because I would say,
I think I was really focused on SEO, like search.
sir, yeah, okay.
And back in 2019, I don't know this for a fact, but I suspect that the YouTube algorithm was really tailored to tags. And so I use both now because each thing has something that I find really valuable, but I was using mainly TubeBuddy to find tags for my videos. And I used TubeBuddy to title my videos for the longest time. And I don't think it's the strongest one out there for titling videos, but that's what I did in the beginning. And I made sure to use every single tag possible. And I would spend hours, more time than I should have. Probably the same amount of time that I spent editing the video, I spent searching for tags for the video to make sure it had the highest possible rating in TubeBuddy before I posted it. I do think that made a difference. I was mainly doing search. I wanted somebody who came into YouTube and typed in, how do I style wavy hair? I wanted my video to be first every single time when it popped up.
So when you're in your analytics, what is it? Excuse me. So is your percentage of people finding your videos, is the search piece of it higher? Like if you look at one of your videos, when I
Honestly,
look at
it's
my videos,
not.
my best videos are browse for me. That's
Yeah,
why I asked the question.
mine are browse too. That's where
Okay.
the majority of mine come from. But I don't know how to target for that. Maybe just have a better thumbnail, but I'm not sure.
Yeah. So what I've learned and been learning, like when you mentioned before, like the vidIQ using trying to ask or answer specific questions, and they're looking for that specific topic. Just really trying to give people a better understanding of how to create content. I find myself creating content and then they get views, and it's kind of, I'm always asking my analytical brain is asking myself, okay, why did this one work and the other didn't work? Right. So just trying to get to, some sort of consistency in creating content and want people to have a better strategy when they go in and do that. Speaking of that, are you full-time now? You mentioned before you started, had a full-time job. Are you full-time now in your business?
I could be. The other businesses that I run, I can't let go.
Okay. So you could be full-time. Okay, no problem. Let's talk about, have you started scaling your team, or is someone else doing video editing for you now, or is that all you?
I have scaled in the past. I have had a virtual assistant that has helped me run the back end of my website and my email newsletter. And I have had editors that I've worked with in the past. That is something that kind of ebbs and flows. Relationships, you build relationships with video editors and virtual assistants, and things change and whatnot. So I have scaled in the past. Currently, I am starting to work with another video editor. We're in the beginning phases of figuring out how to work together. And I don't always have a virtual assistant helping me out. So it's majority me. It's majority me doing all the legwork, which is one reason I probably haven't scaled or grown more. I haven't mastered the art of building a company essentially from the ground up and hiring people. That is something that I am very weak in.
Okay. I'm curious, to your video editor, is that someone that you got from Upwork or one of the hiring freelancer platforms?
No, they reach out to me.
Yeah, I've heard that. I've heard that a lot through a lot of creatives.
They are out there hustling. They are working. They are trying. They are researching channels. They're spending time, investing time in figuring out the editing style of the content creator before they even reach out. And yeah, I feel like if somebody's doing all that work to figure out my style and try and replicate it, I will give them a chance.
All right, this has been good. I give you one more. This is not more so probably a little self-interest myself. You kind of mentioned it in the beginning of the conversation. You mentioned people reach out to you well, you didn't say all the time, but people ask you for advice, I would assume. Say, for instance, you have someone, they come to you, they're asking you, you're trying to coach them up to, get them to, get on the platform and just get to, 4,000 watch hours, 1,000 subs. They have a niche already. Say, for instance, it's someone that, has a podcast. You're trying to coach them up. What are you discussing? What are the most important things they should focus on in a beginner, as a beginner creator, to get to that first, get those 1,000 subs, 4,000 watch hours?
Be consistent. Whether you feel like it or not, show up on camera. Have your goal be to make the person watching day better. That's why we're here. We're not here for ourselves. We're here to help the person who's watching. Start with a service mindset and build relationship with the audience. I think that's kind of tricky with the podcasting because you're interviewing someone. The relationship you're focusing on building is with that person you're interviewing.
Right.
But answering every single comment that someone is gracious enough to leave on your channel, answer them. If it's trolls, I personally have a very strict no troll policy on my channel. I take the hit in the engagement by deleting every comment that even remotely hurts my feelings, because I am trying very hard to build a very positive corner on the internet. And once you leave one troll comment on a video, it's like they breed under a rock or something. Like more troll comments attract more troll comments. And I emotionally cannot handle that. So we have a very strict no troll policy. But anybody who's asking a genuine question or leaving a kind comment, I do my best to answer as many of those as I possibly can. And in the beginning, it was totally doable to answer 20 comments on a video. Now it's a little more than that. But in the beginning, building that relationship with your audience is incredibly important because that's why you're here.